my goodness, rock stars running with the devil, right? Boy, the first time I heard this song, I got scared out of my pants. I really did. That sound of that siren in the beginning and the bass, it was so ominous, and still to this day, it's just a rock and roll classic. So we're going to learn it today, and basically I'm going to break this down into 3 basic parts for you, which is that main riff in the beginning, the verse part, and then the solo part, which repeats twice. Yes, there are 3 licks, verse 1, verse 2, and verse 3, and we'll talk about those. All the bits and pieces here. We're going to have a lot of fun with this. You ready to do this? This may take a little while, but we're gonna get this down. I really spent a lot of time with this, listening to this tune. I listened to this tune for decades now, but I really took the time to get every little piece down as intricately as possible. So I am 99% sure that I have 99% of this correct. Okay, there's always going to be somebody out there who says that it's wrong, but I listened to isolated guitar tracks in the whole 9 yards. Looked at tabs, did everything by ear, all. So this is what I've found. So here we go. First off, on 1 and 2, Eddie was tuned down a half step, or at least on 1. I know for sure he was on album 1. So we're tuned down a half step, okay? We're not going to go over that right now, but here's my low E. If you want to tune your guitar to that, and then tune the rest of the guitar down as per the videos in my free course that you can find the link for in the description of this video, then bingo bango, you know how to tune your guitar down, okay? So that's what we're down. We're down into D sharp. Okay, so this beginning part, you can hear the, this little bit happening there. Oh, let's talk about the tone first here. Now, I'm using my Kemper right now, and I'm using the best Eddie sound that I can find, that I can come up with. And this, we've got a lot of reverb on here. You can hear, okay, quite a bit of reverb on there, so you want it to be nice and spacious. Tune down a half step. Obviously, if you've got a Variac Marshall, that's the best, but in the meanwhile, you're going to have to just crank up that overdrive and that distortion. All right, so here we go. No need for the whammy bar on this particular song, so I'm using the Les Paul, and in the beginning there, you can hear Eddie does this little thing there right in the beginning of those little chimes. I used to think he did it up here, and maybe he does, maybe on his Kramer Pacer or something. That's the sound, but here sounds much brighter, and he might have, I don't know if he might have been using a Les Paul. I don't know. I'll probably get a lot of flack for saying that, but Eddie was using a lot of different guitars back in the day. Everybody thinks he was just using the Frankenstein guitar, Frankenstrat, but he was using a lot of different guitars. So nonetheless, that's how I'm getting the sound right there, and I'm just doing strings 1 through 5. I have my hand muted on here, but technically, yeah, definitely want to mute it, okay? Okay, so now the first chord here, this is based off of C major, D major bar chords. But in this case here, we're just playing strings 2, 3, and 4. And in fact, this whole riff in the beginning is all on strings 2, 3, and 4. Okay, so it's strings 2, 3, and 4. I won't say that anymore. You know what it is. And it's frets 5 and 7. Then we have these, which is like, I won't even go into the theory of it, but basically it's like minor 7 chords. Or you can think about them as major chords as well. But let's do this. You've got your first finger here on the 7th fret, and you're going to pick it, and you're going to hammer your first finger, or your second finger, onto the 8th fret, and your third finger onto the 9th fret. So it's like... Slide that up a whole step. And then resolve it back to the major chord. So it's like... strings the whole time. That very first chord you could probably skip out on that third note, but it goes by so quick you can do it. Now, he does some mutes in there, right? Where he goes. And what I want you to do there is just, it's a down up. So. Play it nice and slow. Okay, so we've got those mutes there. We got. And here I'm just taking my second finger just on the low E string, somewhere around the 12th fret or so. Just hitting it and going down, just sliding down. Eddie was known for that a lot. Also, sometimes he'd do the pick scrape beforehand. He would do that kind of bit. Do something like that. Listen, because this is very impromptu, and I guarantee it 1,000 times in concert, he's going to play it different every single time. These are ad-lib things, and if you want to get really intricate and do it exactly like the album, you can do that, but Eddie's not going to do that live. There are certain bits and pieces that you do want to do exactly the way he did if you want to get that sound, but realistically, that sort of thing is very impromptu. Okay? So, that's going to be the choruses, you know. Running with the devil, right? Then we have the verses, and the verses are the same every single time with the exception of the licks that I'm going to show you separately. So I'm going to show you the verse, and then we're going to talk about the 3 separate licks, then we're going to go to the solo, okay? So every single time when you go to the verse, what I want you to do is I want you to back off your volume from 10 to about a 6, 5 or 6. In fact, you can go down even further than that. Now, you don't have to, as long as you play very, very lightly on your strings. If you have a tube amp, of course, it's going to create that nice dynamic effect where it sounds like you're turning it down a little bit. But I like to turn it down and play a little lighter, and that's what Eddie does. You can really hear it, especially if you can find like an isolated guitar track on him playing that. 100% you can hear him turning it down and turning it up once the chorus starts. So what we have for this is we've got coming out of this main riff 1. Okay, so you've got that chord you're holding at the top, you're sliding it down to an open A, we'll say power chord. And that's when you're going to be, that's your prompt to turn it down. So it's like. Okay, so you're just holding that chord and turning down as you're sliding down. And then the riff goes like this. It's power chord A. If you don't know what a power chord is, here on YouTube, YourGuitarSage power chords. Search. So. Old classic rock and roll bit there, right? Then he does these little chords while he's pedaling the A. So he goes. These are just double stops. That's all you're doing. Strings 3 and 4, by the way. So second time around, he doesn't walk all the way down. He just goes from this guy to this guy. Okay? A lot of people say, well, tell us the tabs. No, you got to start using your ears, and your eyes. Okay, seriously, you got to start doing this, because if you're so dependent on tabs, it's going to suck for you, okay? It's going to be like you've got to do everything with tabs the rest of your life. Don't do it. Start using your ears, and it's a knack that you got to get. And the only way to do it is to stop being reliant on tabs. It's okay to look at tabs. But you got to be able to do this quicker. Otherwise, it's going to take forever for you to learn a song. All right, here we go. All right, so verse. Let's turn that down. And then a lick there every single time. And then again. And we'll talk about that in a minute. So you got this first time it goes. So one and three go. And 2 and 4 go. And then some sort of lick. Okay. Now, what he does at the end there, he goes. Whoops. And what he's doing is he's picking strings 3, 4, 5, 6 up like this. So it might sound like this. Make sense? Okay, so now we know that that's exactly what he does for verses 1, 2, and 3. So when it comes to verse 2 and verse 3, you're going to do the same thing, okay? Now, the difference is that there's 3 different licks, and here are the 3 different licks. I kind of mucked up that third one in there just because, there's guys that can play this better than me, right? I'm teaching you how to play this song. I'm not Eddie. I can kind of fake it a little bit, but here we go. All right, so lick 1 is going to go like this. It's going to go. These are harmonics. If you don't know how to do harmonics here on YouTube, type in YourGuitarSage harmonics. Otherwise, I'm trusting that you know this is on the 12th, 7th, and 12th, 7th, and 5th fret. And so you're going to go 2, 1, strings 2, 1. On the 7th fret, 2 and 1. And on the 5th fret, string 3. So it's like. So the whole verse is going to sound like this. I'll play it a little bit slower. Okay, you got the rhythm there? All right, and then we're into the chorus again, which we will not do. Let's go into second verse. So the second verse, same as the first verse, except we have a different lick. So here's the second verse. In there. Well, it's your famous trill. But in this case, Eddie's doing 2 strings. He's doing strings 2 and 3, and he's trilling on 7 and 9. So you're going to pick while your finger's on 7, and you're going to trill up to 9 and back and forth, all hammer-ons, pull-offs. If you don't know what hammer-ons and pull-offs are, you need to. You do. You need to take my free course, YourGuitarSage.com/30, which, oh, by the way, if you're enjoying this right now, friends, I've got like over 1,000 guitar lesson videos here on YouTube. Hit subscribe right now, my friends. I give away thousands of dollars worth of goodies thousands of dollars worth of goodies away every single month, including guitars, courses, and the whole 9 yards. I've been doing this a while, so this is what I like to do for fun. So make sure you hit subscribe. Like and all that good stuff. Okay, here we go. So here we go, second verse. Second verse again, right? Now, we're going to skip all the way to the third verse, and we're going to get to the solos here in just a minute. Okay, so third verse is the same as the first and second, right? Now this part, because he moves very quick, it goes, I messed it up, but it goes. Let's go over it. Again, it's 12, 7, and 5. And on 12, you're going to go. So it's strings 3 and 1. For the 7th fret, you're going to pick the 3rd string twice and the 2nd string once. And then for fret 5, it's just 3, 2, 1. So it's like this. I'll do it slow. Get it? I think you do. It'll take some time. It'll take some time, okay? You'll get it. If you practice it over and over again in a loop, you'll get it. All right, so let's do the solo, right? It's super fun. You can tell that Eddie was getting into arpeggios at this time because it's all based off of arpeggios. So he's got... something like that in the chord progression there. So he's playing like a B and an A, and here he is. I should say A and G. Sorry, he's like. Something like that. So over that, underneath the chord progression or underneath the solo is an A and a G major. And he's really exploiting these arpeggios. So here we go. So you're going to slide up to basically, it's an A position, okay? So like an A bar chord. If you've watched any of my videos on the caged system, this will make sense. If you don't know what that is and you're interested, type in YourGuitarSage caged here on YouTube. Otherwise, here you go. This is an A, like here. Up a whole step, and then he plays a G. Now he's not playing the low note of these, he's just playing like we did here. That's all he's doing. Except here he's going. So he hits these notes up here. Okay, now I'm going to do that again. So we have this little arpeggio here. I'm not going to talk about all the little frets and everything else. You know what I'm doing here. If you don't, this song might be a little bit out of your league then, because you need to be able to observe somebody playing, especially when I'm playing this slowly. You should be getting this information. You might have to rewind it a little bit. That's okay. But nonetheless, you got to be able to do that in order to learn more quickly than just sitting there with a tab over every single little note. Okay? All right, so we've got this arpeggio, which is an A, but then he also suspends it and plays that note too. So I'll play it nice and slow. So the first note you're going to pick down here and slide up to the 14th fret. You don't actually play that first note at the 14th fret. You slide up to it, so it's like this. Let's do that again. You repeat the same thing a whole step down. Go up a whole step and do it again. Now this. Whole step bend at the 17th fret. And then you got this fun little bit here, 12, 13, 15. So he has a couple mute notes there, a couple ghost notes. And then 12, 13, 15, 13. And this last part here is going to go. So here you have fingers 1 and 2 on strings 1 and 2 on frets 14 and 15. Move that up a half step. And for this third thing, I'm using fingers 2 and 3 on the 15th fret. And basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to bend my second finger up 1 whole step, and I'm going to bend my third finger up a half step. Okay, there's no vibrato or anything. So all together it's going to go like this. Okay, easy enough. It's going to take a little time. This solo is deceivingly, it's easy, but the actual execution of it to make it sound exactly like Eddie did is deceivingly, I don't want to say difficult, but he's very specific in what he does in this one. So it's going to take some time to get it to sound exactly like what he's doing. Okay, so second solo is very similar. In fact, there's only one little part that's different. And the second solo is going to go like this. And I'm bending here at the 19th fret, so 15, 17, 19. And it looks like he's bending up 1.5 steps. I didn't even think of this. I just bend up to it. So that's what the scale's asking for, the chord progression. So it works. But that's what you're doing. Yeah. So 19th fret. And it almost sounds like he's using the whammy bar in this, but since I'm using the Les Paul, I'm not doing it. I'm just using vibrato, and I found that I can get the same sound by just doing that. So that might be the one place where if he is using the old pacer or something with a whammy bar, it might be where he's bending it and actually hitting the whammy bar. It's kind of hard to tell. So second solo altogether is going to sound like this. Do that again. And again, the end. Now this time when he does it, I'm actually, the first 2 notes are just single notes. They're not double stops. They're just, and then that little bend thing that I showed you in solo 1. So, second time around, it's just the single notes, but I play it the same way both times because it's like, that's what he was going for. It's just it didn't come across on tape, or, Eddie Van Halen is as human as you or I. He's just a better guitar player. That's all it is to it. So you can hear little nuances, little things that guitar players mean to do on tape, especially when you isolate the guitar. You can hear little things that they were going for, but it was a great take, and they're just like, let's keep that take. So in this case, same thing happens. All right. Is there anything else? No, there's not. There's the bit in the end, which is the same as the beginning. And that is it. Super easy, my friends, right? Now, I know I threw a lot at you. I tried to keep this down under a half hour. Good. But I know I threw a lot at you. Remember, whenever it comes to something like this, you just got to rewind and rewind. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've rewound this song and played it over and over again. That's what it takes. It takes repetition. If you want to be good at anything, it takes repetition. I'm sure I don't need to be telling you this, but if you're getting frustrated with guitar, friends, you need a few things. Number one, you need to do things repetitively, but you need to do the right things repetitively, which is why I teach guitar. It's why I've been teaching guitar for over 30 years. It's why I have a free course for you, a free PDF. I have tons of great stuff. But start, my friends, with the free course. Visit me here in Nashville. We'll do the same 30 lessons. It'll cost about $1,000 and take about 30 weeks. Or you can click on the link that's in the description of this video, because that's what I do. I love teaching guitar and I love providing free stuff for folks, as well as free guitars and free courses and everything else. Why do I do this? Well, because I'm wildly successful and I'm really appreciative and I'm very thankful and I love to give back. So that's why. So I have more to give. So that's the answer to that. That's how I can do that. And I'm very appreciative. Thank you so much for those who have helped me to do that. Hey friends, I'm on Facebook, I'm on Twitter, I'm on Snapchat, I'm on all those places, Instagram. Would love for you to join me and hang out there. I do all sorts of announcements and giveaways and stuff there as well. YourGuitarSage.com/live is where I do my live stuff and where I give tons of stuff away, so join me there. Other than that, leave your comments below. Do not forget to hit subscribe. Hit that notification bell as well, because when I go live, YouTube's not letting folks know anymore, just because there's a lot of people on the internet now. And unless you hit that notification bell, you're not going to be notified when I go live. And I do that at least once a week and give stuff away as well. All right, my friends. Eric Andreas, Your Guitar Sage here. Thank you so much for joining me. And as always, friends, be kind to all beings. Do the right thing, always. Practice your guitar. I'll see you in another video.